Hello, Brother Anderson, and welcome to my final presentation for the CIT 260 course. I'm going to start by talking about the static class variables versus the non-static uh, class variables or instances. Okay, so what we have to know is that statics variables or classes are shared with the whole class. This means that the instance doesn't need to be created in order to read it, and it's available for all the class. This, for example, would be, this is an example for static variables. For example, we have set one of the variables as within storage, which gets the value from the module of the city of Aaron, get current game, get within storage, and then we can use that one in, for example, in this condition to see if we have the enough within storage in order to buy the acres. This will be this is all done in the buy land view, and for example, this would be an example of a non-static variable. What the non-static variables, we need an object in order to call the variable. So they cannot be accessed from static variables. So for example, here in this game control class, we have created the object player, and after we have created it, we have used it here in order to use it. But in order to use, we first had to create it because it was actually, for example, not non-static. So how do we actually decide if we're going to choose one or another? Is by following the statement that if our method or function does need something that doesn't depend on individual characteristics of the class, we can have it static. Otherwise, it should be all non-static. Now I will continue talking about the differences between array, array list, and enum. Array, the biggest difference is that an array has a fixed length. This is what we set inside the brackets when we set an array. And an array list has a variable length that will be dynamically adjusted. So it's almost like an improved version of an array. In this example, we have set a variable of animal where we are saying that it will have 5 objects. And you can see that we always start with the index 0. So if we say that it will have 5 objects, we start with the 1, with the 0, and end with the 4. This will be an example of a linear array. This is something that we used in the map control, where we have set a multidimensional array, and that will be something like 2 axes with 2 axes, where we are setting the values in each location to see so we can say what coordinates are defined to each part of the city. And this, for example, is a example of an enum, which is something like enumeration. It's a really short class, except that it's not actually a class, but you can use it almost like if we were using the drop-down menu in a web browser. For example, in this condition class, we have set a good fair report for the condition status of a tool or for a provision, and we can use that inside when we are populating the array provisions. This is an example of how we have created an array in the storehouse control. with the tools. We have set 6 items for the tools, and then when we are going to call that or show that if that array in the reports menu, we have set this. We have set a variable of the class of the inventory item class, and we are getting that information from the get tools in the set of error module. And well, this is also has a sort quantity function that will randomize the order in which they are going to be shown when we print them out. So what this for loop is going to do is actually get the quantity and name of that tool report, which is the variable, the inventory item variable that we have created, object we have created. So what this will do, it will go through the array and get first the quantity that we have set, and then it's going to add the name of that tool. For example, every time it will go here, it will get first to the 7 and then to the name, then 3 and then to the name, and so on. So this, when it goes through the sort quantity function that I'm not showing it here, it will come up or it will show this result. So it will, like I said, randomize the output of the array. And this is another for statement that we have set in order to add all the amounts of tools that we have. So we have set the total to 0, and then this will get the quantity of the tools that we have and add it to the total every time the loop goes through the whole length of the array. Lately, when it's done, it will come out of this for loop, and it will print out the total amount of the tools in storage, which is this result that we have here. Every time that we have runtime errors in our programs, they will crash unless we do something about it. So this is why we have to use the throw and propagate and catch custom runtime errors. This is done by first creating or extending the classes to the exception class. For example, here we can see that all of the exception classes, the game control, line control, and people control, and storehouse, and the suite control exception classes are extending the exception main class, which are preventing from some errors. And what we have to do in order to catch those errors is to extend in the signature and method that the word throws, and then write the exceptions. For example, here we're gonna see an example of the violent class and see how we can get to know where the problem is if we get something wrong in this class. So we throw the we control exception and the IO exception. There are many of them. There are arithmetical exceptions, and then there's the IO, which is the output exception. Then there's the exception, which is the main one. And if this throws an error, what it's going to do is going to go up to the function that called this, which is in this case manage crop, the manage crops view. So this function, this class, it also has to have the exceptions in order to for the error to go up the function that called it. For example, here in manage crops view, we have this function, and when we try this functions, buy land and sell land, when it goes to the first function, which is buy land, which is the first one, if we get an error on this, it will throw the exception up to the managed crops a class. That exception will try this, it will not work, and then we catch by this block here. This block, it's saying that how are we going to get to the error. It's we already set this error view class where we're going to display the name of the class, that it's doing, that it's performing the error, and we will get that that number. So this is how you manage the errors from one class to another. Now I'm going to talk about a character string class versus byte string. And well, this is are used to perform the Java byte streams are used to perform input and output of 8 bytes. And there are many classes related to the byte streams, but the most frequently used, or for at least the ones that we used in this game, are the file input stream and the file output stream. The main difference with the character stream class is that instead of performing 8-byte operations, this can perform 16-byte Unicode inputs. So this is better because we can actually use, it can be accessed from with other languages and other characters that weren't available in the English language. And it can also, for example, store or images and audio and ASCII code. Okay, so this is the final part of my presentation, which I'm going to show you the game demonstration. And I apologize because I'm doing this video in parts and now it's kind of raining here, so I'm not sure if you can actually listen to me very well. What I'm going to do is compile and run this, and I'm going to try some options in the menu so we can start seeing how it works. And for example, we're going to start already start a new game. I'm going to set my name here, and then I'm going to give a map, see how this works. I can see that everything is showing how it's supposed to. I'm going to directly go and manage the crops, which is the core of the game, because now we will see how everything is implemented here. And, this is one of the functions that I made, the byland function. It's setting a random number for an acre, which is 24. I'm going to buy 100 of them, and it's updating the acreage and the total wheat and storage. Then I'm going to sell land, and you can see that I've done such a good business here, because I bought acres for 24, and then I'm selling them for 19. So I'm going to say just let's say at 70. It's updating again the acreage and the total wheat and storage. Then we have to feed the people, and I'm going to say that not all of them are going to feed, so we can see how this, if the calculated mortality is working fine. It's saying that I don't have so many molecular rights because I only have 1,730, so I will say 1,000. I'm sorry. Now, I'm setting this. I already set aside 1,600 bushels of pine crops, which I don't have, and this is what I get after planting the wheat. Now I'm going to pay tithing, and this is interesting. This is one of the parts my friend Brian did, my companion Brian did, because it's not asking for amount of bushels, actually the number of the percentage. It's 10% for tithing, and now we're going to actually leave it here, and all of that will be applied. Years passed, and we're going to show the annual report, and we have made it to year 2. So it's telling how many people die, how many people moved in, how many people we have now in the city, how many acres we have, and all the rest of the values that were produced by the functions. Now back to game, we're going to say this. We're going to go straight to the reports menu, where we can see the animals in the storehouse. example, and then we can also see the provisions and tools and everything else. So we can actually we can continue playing. It's gonna prompt us if we want to save this file to a record file. Say yes. You have the two options, input path and everything. So it's going to start save it directly to there, and it's already saved.